can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to start this morning in Judge Middleton's court, where a little while ago he did pre-trials. He had a rough start to his morning. All of his equipment failed, so it took him a good 20 minutes to get stuff sorted. So let's check in with him.
A couple of matters, and we'll get Mr. Taylor on his way and deal with his cases. But first, I'd like to talk to Onisha Butler.
Hello.
Good morning. Thank you for your patience.
No problem.
No, we've got a new problem, but so be it. Miss Butler, you're charged with domestic violence, second offense, and malicious destruction of property. There was a discussion of a plea offer of domestic violence first offense with restitution, then dismiss the other two counts. The reason I wanted to touch base with you is you're on probation right now for domestic violence. And who's your probation officer?
Matt.
All right, Matt Huff.
Yes.
All right, I want you to stop and see him this morning.
Okay.
You still owe $920 from that 2023 case. When did you last see your probation officer?
I speak with him every month.
All
And I
right, very
should be
good.
speaking with him on Monday.
Well, I want you to stop and see him this morning, and if
Okay,
he's
right.
in, then you won't need to do it on Monday, but we're gonna set this for a final pretrial. Is that correct, Ms. Ives?
Correct, Your Honor.
This new charge could also be a violation of your probation. I'm sure your attorney told you that, which does make things a little more complicated. But in the meantime, your bond is continued. You're still on probation. Check in with your PO, start to pay on some of your stuff. And I will see you on a Thursday afternoon, probably later this month.
Okay.
All right, you're good to go.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Taylor, let's take care of your case, Mr. Osborne, and get you on your way.
Peter Taylor on behalf of Mr. Osborne, who's at the podium next to me.
Just give me a moment. All right, I tried. Yeah, sure. Here's my calendar for today.
But maybe I need to get out of it in mind.
It won't let me refresh it. Let me
Be
go.
right back.
Isn't technology wonderful?
My father's favorite saying is that's technology really speeding things up again.
Well, your father is even older than I am, so I've always taken everything he said with a grain of salt. He and I go back almost 45 years. We used to beat each other up in trials a long time ago, but Mr. Osborne, have a seat for a sec while I bring this case up.
Yes, so sit there for a second.
No, right there at the
Oh,
defendant's.
counsel table.
I'll get you on your way here.
Okay.
All right, everything just came up. You must have hit the right button. In this case, you're charged with domestic violence and second offense, which is a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail. As far as I can tell, you've complied with the terms of your bond. There is a bond condition that you not have any contact with Melissa Reinberg, the complaining witness in this case. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no assaultive behavior. And I believe you're on pretrial supervision. Is that correct?
I don't believe he is, Your Honor.
It was ordered that he be on community corrections.
Oh, yes, I'm doing that.
All right. Okay. Electronic monitoring.
I just call her,
All right.
call her text in every week.
All right. As far as I can tell, you're in compliance with your bond conditions. We're going to set a last pretrial in this matter as well. You've also requested discovery. Has that been an issue?
No, it hasn't.
All right, Mr. Osborne, same thing. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't get in any more trouble. Keep checking in with community corrections and don't violate any of the bond conditions. And your hearing will be set on a Thursday afternoon, either later this month or early in April. Do you have any questions? All right, you're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
All right, now I lost my size again. Michelle, who do you have back in lockup?
Daniel and Paul Gibson.
Who do you have for me, Paul?
We have one where I need an interpreter. It's Barrera Sanchez.
All right, Vivian is here. Those go to Laura. When we finish Rhonda's plea, it's a little difficult because your client's in custody. But we did have the Zoom room open. Laura, when we shut everything down, the conference room shut down as well, so we need to reopen it. All right, let's utilize our interpreter. We're going to address, boy, this is so small, I can't read it. Jorge Alejandro Garcia Palma.
And this client speaks English, Your Honor,
Oh, all
so
right.
he will be fine, and we're sending this one over for another attorney pretrial so we can work on getting his license.
All right, this is file number 25125ST and 25248OT. Mr. Garcia Palmer, you got a ticket on January 23rd for driving without a valid operator's license. You like that so much, you got another one 2 weeks later for the same charge, driving without a valid operator's license, plus some ancillary stuff. Speeding, I think. Yes, so you don't have a license, you drive too fast, they pull you over and you got charged with the same thing twice in 20 days. So don't drive anymore. Are you working on getting your license?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
I just need to go, I guess, just take the road test and,
All right, all you need to undo all that is to drive illegally again and the whole card house will fall down. So don't drive anymore till we sort this out. Stay in contact with your attorney and the same thing. I'll set this for a Thursday afternoon pretrial. You opened it, I will. All right, you're good to go.
Keep me posted. I'll call the Secretary of State, take care of it.
Who's your interpreter case?
Brian?
We're going to go ahead and switch over to Judge Shackelford's courtroom because it sounds like she's sentencing somebody and she's letting them have it a little bit.
Now,
And I don't know if the contact's still continuing. I don't believe for a minute that either of them would follow this court's order, so I presume it is. But the contact's just been alarming, absolutely alarming. The threats that have been made, the testimony that I've heard on these cases, it is textbook domestic violence. It's textbook. And not only is it textbook, but the escalation of the allegations against Mr. Moore, these cases go one direction. They go one direction. And a lot of times they end up with the dead victim. But this is a misdemeanor case. I'll let the circuit court handle those cases. They're obviously outside of my jurisdiction. The maximum possible penalty that I can impose on Mr. Moore is 93 days in jail. And he's been in custody on this case amongst many others, and under law, he's entitled to credit. Regardless of what my thoughts are with respect to this sentencing, he's entitled to it by law. So he gets 93 days credit for time served, and the other case will be dismissed. Anything else?
No, Judge, do you have to do Crime Victims' Rights Act and those fees as well, or is that taken up by it?
No. He's got a fine of 100. Court cost of 100. State assessment of 50 and a crime victims' rights fee is 75.
You said 50 and 75?
50 and 75 are those two are mandated by the
Right.
state. He
I
has a
just
total
wasn't sure.
amount due of $325.
And what's, total due 325?
Yeah.
Thank you. And, Judge, obviously, he's not gonna have probation or anything like that, but I would ask for time to pay that before any show cause happens, because he's gonna be in custody.
Well, I'll just write upon release.
Okay.
An appeal to circuit court may be taken within 21 days from the date of sentence or as permitted pursuant to MCR 6.625 parent B. If the sentence includes incarceration, and if you wish to file an appeal but are financially unable to retain an attorney, the court will appoint a lawyer to represent you on the appeal if the request is made within 14 days of the date of sentencing. Do you understand that, sir? All right. Anything further?
No, Judge.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, we're all set.
Just to clarify, because we cut in on the middle of that, the defendant, she was seeing him on a misdemeanor offense, but it sounds like he had some domestic violence things going on. And if you watch any bit of Judge Shackelford, you realize that she's not big on family violence kind of things, as you know, nobody should be big on them, but she tends to be a little harsh on those things, and she certainly was there. Let's go ahead and go back to Judge Middleton for a while. By the way, my name is Dan. Good morning. We are keeping an eye on several different court feeds. We're waiting for Judge Simpson to come online. We're waiting for Judge Fleischer to come online. But in the meantime, let's go back to Judge Middleton from earlier this morning.
Buenos dias. As you said, Brian Medina Garcia.
Yes.
Our interpreter, Vivian Montero, is here with us.
Nuestro intérprete Vivian Montero se encuentra aquí con nosotros.
And I'm going to take a moment and swear her in as an interpreter and translator for us.
Voy a tomar un momento y pedir que ella preste juramento como intérprete y traductora para nosotros.
You swear or affirm to the best of your ability you will interpret these matters from Spanish into English and English into Spanish.
I do.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Vivian, quiero interpreter 189.
Mr. Medina Garcia, you're charged with operating while intoxicated, second offense.
Señor Medina García, usted enfrenta el cargo de conducir en estado de ebriedad, segunda vez.
That allegedly happened in Sturgis on February the 1st.
que supuestamente tomó lugar en Sturgis el 1 de febrero.
That's charged as a second offense, which is punishable by up to a year in jail and a fine of up to $1,000.
Ya que es la segunda vez, la penalidad máxima posible para este cargo es 1 año de cárcel y hasta $1,000 de multa.
They're also charged with failing to stop after a collision.
También usted enfrenta el cargo que usted no paró en el lugar de los hechos después de un choque.
That's a misdemeanor charged by up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $100.
Eso es un delito menor que conlleva una máxima penalidad posible hasta 90 días de cárcel y o una multa hasta $100.
Prosecutor has agreed to dismiss the driving suspended second.
El agente del Ministerio Público está dispuesto a suspender el cargo de conducir en estado de ebriedad segunda vez.
Your Honor, you mean operating while intoxicated second?
I thought they were going to drop operating while, what did I say?
Driving while licensed
Oh,
suspended.
operating while intoxicated.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you. I'm doing two
Yep.
things at once. His name didn't come up unless I put it.
Your Honor, the interpreter was on autopilot and just interpreted the driving while
That's-
intoxicated second.
All right.
So
Well, thank you, Vivian. All right, you're gonna plead to drinking driving first offense.
usted va a contestar culpable, según el acuerdo, a conducir en estado de ebriedad primera vez.
That's a misdemeanor,
Es un delito menor
punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500.
que conlleva una máxima penalidad posible hasta 93 días de cárcel y o $500 de multa.
It also requires that your driver's license be suspended
También requiere que se le suspende la licencia
and carry 6 points.
y conlleva 6 puntos en su historial de conducir.
Is that your understanding, Ms. Ives, of the plea agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
Eso es su comprensión, licenciada Ives, que es el acuerdo que sí, su señoría.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Garcia, Medina Garcia, you're gonna plead to that drinking driving first offense and leaving the scene of an accident?
Entonces, ¿usted está de acuerdo en aceptar el acuerdo que está ofertando el agente del Ministerio Público de conducir, contestar culpable al cargo de conducir en estado de ebriedad primera vez y abandonar el lugar de los hechos después de un choque? ¿Sí o no?
He said yes.
Okay, thank you. The interpreter didn't hear.
He was very quiet. And you understand that by waiving this or entering this plea, you'll be giving up your right to have a trial.
Usted entiende, al aceptar el acuerdo aquí hoy, está renunciando su derecho de llevar el caso a juicio. ¿Entiende eso?
Now, I have to say, Brian, I'm very disappointed about this.
Tengo que decirle, Brian, me siento muy defraudado sobre esto.
You did a probation with Daniel on your last case.
Usted realizó un caso de libertad condicional con Daniel en el último caso.
And you just got off that probation in September.
Y usted acaba de terminar ese plazo de libertad condicional en septiembre.
So I felt bad when I saw that you had been arrested again.
Me sentía mal cuando veía que le habían detenido a usted nuevamente.
Anybody promise you anything to get you to plead to this?
Alguien,
Just a minute.
¿alguien le prometió algo para que aceptara ese acuerdo?
Anybody promise you anything to get you to plead to this?
¿Alguien le prometió algo para que aceptara el acuerdo?
Or threaten you?
¿Le amenazó?
No.
right, do you understand this could have immigration consequences?
Usted entiende que eso puede afectar su situación migratoria aquí, ¿no?
You understand?
Sí.
Eso,
All right. Were you driving a car in Sturgis on February the 1st?
usted estaba conduciendo un auto en Sturgis el 1 de febrero.
Sí.
Where
Yes.
were you going?
¿A dónde iba?
Estaba en mi casa.
I was at home.
You were going
¿a
to
dónde
home?
¿Usted iba a la casa?
Sí.
Where were you
Yes.
coming from?
¿De dónde venía?
Vivian, you're breaking up some.
Venía de mi trabajo.
I was coming home from
Estaba
work.
trabajo.
You
I
got
was
drunk
at
at work?
No,
¿Usted había tomado en el trabajo?
no, solo después del trabajo.
No,
Just a minute.
after work. After.
Take your hat off. Everybody scooch over. People coming in walking like they're going to breakfast or something. We're in a courtroom. And it was 3:30 in the morning. Where were you coming from at 3:30 in the morning?
Pero era las 3:30 de la madrugada. ¿De dónde venía a las 3:30 de la mañana?
Acababa de terminar un trabajo de yardas, entonces pues ya iba camino a mi casa después de eso. Y pues sí, tomé después del trabajo y pues estaba la carretera, estaba resbaloso por la nieve.
So I finished work. I work in yard work. I finished work. I had something to drink, and I was heading home. But the highway or the road was slippery due to the snow.
All right, what did you have to drink?
¿Qué es lo que había tomado?
Cerveza.
How
Beer.
many?
¿Cuántas?
Nos, creo que 10, no sé, maybe, no sé.
I think around 10. I don't know.
Rhonda, what
maybe.
was the blood alcohol level?
Licenciada, ¿cuál fue el nivel de alcoholemia?
It is a 0.184.
Punto
Did you get in?
184.
Did you get in some sort of an accident?
¿Usted se vio involucrado en algún toque?
No,
Said you left the scene of an accident.
Dice aquí que usted abandonar el lugar de los hechos después del choque.
eso pasó en mi casa, solo fue enfrente, ahí estuve en el lugar del choque, ahí estuve, solo fue enfrente de mi casa.
It occurred right in front of my house. I was there, but it was right in front of my house.
Oh, just a minute, just a minute.
Now the other one is.
Oh, this is so cumbersome.
So you talk to the translator here, so who's here with you? Who's here with you?
We're gonna be here till dark.
Who's your friend? Look at her.
You know, real quick, if there's anybody out there from Michigan, is there like a weird weather thing going on or something like that? The various court feeds that we're actually taking a look at and monitoring this morning from Michigan are all really glitchy, but others are fine. So I'm not sure what's going on in the state I grew up in, but who knows? Here in the desert, it's like raining cats and dogs, which never happens here. It's the first rain of significance we've had in like 9 months, so it's a weird day. Well, Judge Middleton continues to struggle with his tech. Let's go over to Judge Simpson's court. He's opened up his landlord-tenant docket now, so let's see what's going on over there.
Yep. Oh, no, there he is. Oh, he froze again.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Ackar.
How you doing, Judge?
I'm doing okay, thank you.
I was actually
All right.
outside your courtroom. I was actually outside your courtroom.
Gotcha. Okay. Counsel, what's the claim in this case?
Judge, including court costs through today's date, $12,427.68 is currently due.
All right. Mr. Ackar, what do you have to say about that, sir?
Yes, sir. Judge, there's a lot of consistency. And sending you
Can you check and see? Because he's just breaking up. He is. Just bring him in. He is in the hallway. I can tell from the background.
Good morning.
Good morning. Come on up to the podium.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You were breaking up badly out there, so.
I apologize.
I don't know if you heard, but the council's indicated that their claim is $12,427.68. So, all right.
So,
See, Judge, I apologize that is not accurate.
Okay.
There was a subtraction instead of an addition with the core cost. So it's going to be slightly more than that. Let's figure it out. Okay, so it looks like the total amount with the core cost is going to be $12,787.68.
Okay, so that's the amount. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Judge, the thing is, the charges that their attorney's stating is inaccurate. I have a ledger from them from like 2 weeks ago prior to them, because I went in to ask for, hey, a final statement, and all of a sudden they tacked on a bunch of charges, and the one that they gave me most recently said 10,000, which is also inaccurate. But the one that they gave me 2 weeks prior said I only owed, like, because technically I stayed February month, like the month of February, so I would owe them that month's rent, and prior to that it was already paid. Now
Okay, so you're claiming that it's been paid.
So they for rent, but then they tacked on a bunch of other like inconsistent charges. Like, I know for example, like the dates is irrelevant right now for like some DNA poop prints and whatever for when your dog, for example, like they're charging me $350 every time my dog that I don't pick up after him outside. But I asked them to provide me documentation of that, and they pretty much gave me documentation stating, oh, this has been like an ongoing issue, and they spread out the dates. So I contacted the company that goes ahead and does these tests, and it was only within 2 days they collected all these results, and then they changed the reports to state like, oh,
okay. Here's the thing. You're gonna have to file a written answer with all of that.
They should be sending it over.
Filed one down at the court.
So all the documentation, I gave it to the front desk.
Okay. So I don't have it yet.
Yeah, and
But-
it's like very detailed, and you're able to see it. Also,
It's fine. Go ahead.
to Judge, they accidentally sent me a ledger prior to that. Prior to the one that showed, oh, I only owe $2,662, that shows that I paid $19,795.66 over the course of the 10 months. But technically I only paid for 9 months. When you divide the $19,795.66 by the 9 months, it ends up being the base rate,
Okay.
which is the $21.97. So that's accurate, but then I don't understand,
Sir.
why they're coming
Sir.
with all this.
Sir. Talking about documents I don't have in my possession.
I understand.
And we're also then referring, counsel needs to be able to look at what you filed with the court. Did you send a copy to the attorney for the plaintiff?
This is what they gave me. So I'm assuming.
Well, if you're gonna be submitting it to the court, everything that you submitted to the court needs to be sent to opposing counsel.
Oh, I was unaware of that.
Okay, so if you've got a copy of what you submitted to me, then you need to get a copy, you need to take a copy of that and send it off to plaintiff's counsel at the address that's on the pleadings that you received.
Sure.
Okay,
Mhm.
I will adjourn this out to March 14th, 2025 at 1 p.m. That's an in-person here.
Thank you.
All right,
I appreciate
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Arbor House Apartments versus Jasmine Branch.
Joe Joseph for plaintiff.
Jasmine Branch.
She's phoned in. Okay, what is plaintiff's claim in this case?
Inclusive of court costs and March rent, $7,707.24.
All right,
My paper
and
says
ma'am,
different.
what do you have to say about that?
My paper say $5,713.
And that's probably the paperwork that you received from the court, you mean?
Yes.
Correct, and that would have been through February. We're now into March.
Okay. So I have 2,000 of it, and I get help on. I have appointed with Hawk on the 14th to get the rest of the help.
On
And I
on
was
what date do
wondering-
you have the appointment?
The 14th.
The
At 10 o'clock in
14th?
the morning. Yes, at 10 o'clock in the morning to get help from them with that.
All right. So here's what I'll do. I'll adjourn it out a week, March 14th, 2025 at what time? 1 p.m. So immediately after your appointment with Hawk, you need to get down to the courthouse and we'll try to figure out where we're going to go from there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. But the amount that you have right now, I might suggest trying to pay that to the landlord because you're going to have to get down around a $3,000 figure as the max that
Okay.
Hawk may help you with. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Judge.
You know, as Judge Middleton always puts it, these landlord-tenant things are just exercises in misery. People are really struggling out there in a lot of ways, and this is where the struggle really comes real because they're fighting for their homes. Looks like Judge Middleton has come back online and solved his technical difficulties, maybe, so let's go back to him. He's continuing with pretrials.
All right, we're gonna try this again. We're back for the third time. If you're frustrated, you're not nearly as frustrated as the 40 of us that are sitting here in the courtroom dealing with these technical glitches. But we're going to finish the plea we were working on. Just Laura to come in here. All right. We were talking with Mr. Medina Garcia. He stepped out for a moment.
Estamos hablando con la señora Medina García.
My recollection is that Mr. Medina Garcia has pretty good English.
Si recuerdo bien, el señor Medina García habla bastante bien el inglés.
And he also, I think, had lawful residency status. He has a Michigan driver's license.
Y creo que tiene su situación migratoria regularizada porque tiene una licencia de conducir en Michigan.
Your Honor, he does not have a good understanding of English. We have had to use an interpreter through and throughout.
All right, I think he and Daniel managed to get through the probation.
Dice la licenciada que necesitaban la ayuda de un intérprete para poder entenderse, pero su señoría dice que yo creo que pudo comunicarse con Daniel cuando estaba en libertad condicional.
But it doesn't, the light's on, but it doesn't show I'm recording. You're just gonna need to stay in here.
Okay, yeah, just say it's recording over here.
All right.
I'll stay.
All right, we were discussing the accident. You hit another car and then you pulled into your own driveway.
Estábamos hablando del choque. Usted pegó a otro vehículo y después usted se metió en el camino de su casa.
Sí.
Yes.
Was anyone injured?
¿Alguien salió lesionado?
No.
No.
All right, let's schedule this for sentencing that works for your lawyer.
Vamos a programar una fecha para la imposición de la condena. Es que mejor
Sometimes-
conviene para su licenciada.
It's hard to schedule her.
Es difícil programar con esta licenciada.
Because she's very busy both here and in Branch County.
Porque ella está muy ocupada aquí y también en Branch County.
Ms. Ives, are you available on Monday, March 31st at 11?
Licenciada, ¿usted está disponible el día viernes 31 de marzo a las 11?
No, Your Honor, I'm not. I'm available on the 7th, though, of April.
All right.
If that helps.
Pero el 7 de abril estoy disponible.
She's also an international traveler, so we have a hard time pinning her down.
También es una viaje internacional. Es difícil localizarla.
Monday, April 7th.
Lunes 7 de abril
At 11 a.m.
a las 11 de la mañana.
Does that work for you, sir?
Yes.
Señor, ¿está bien para usted?
Yes. Sí.
Yes.
All right, I want you to take this form out to the counter and they will give you the time and date to come back for sentencing in this matter.
Quiero que lleve este formulario ahí a la sala 107 y le van a dar la fecha y la hora para comparecer de nuevo.
She's not, asking, she's asking for a lot.
Thank you. Rhonda, do you have anyone else that needs an interpreter right now?
I do not.
All right. Do you, Jordan?
No.
All right.
And if these guys want, if they only have one or two cases, I got a stack, so
Yes.
I'm gonna be here all
Take
day, so.
care
or
of
all
Paul's,
morning.
but I want to utilize Vivian while we have her. Who's your client, Paul?
Cassandra Gilbert, she's.
No, the one that needs an
Oh, the one
interpreter.
that needs an interpreter is Miziel Barrera Sanchez.
Michelle. All right, where's that case?
I'll have to go back and get that. Do you need the paperwork for it?
Yes. Mr. Medina, you're good to go.
Señor Medina, ya se puede retirar.
Rhonda, excuse me, Michelle, I know this is cumbersome when you have an in custody defendant, but he has to be brought into the conference room so he can consult with his lawyer, which he should have already done.
107 is 136 here.
Your Honor, if it's difficult to connect to the conference room, the interpreter can always connect by phone.
Yes.
For that part.
Our other other officer is out doing the mailbag. I will not be in. Is that going to be okay with you for right now?
We'll do the best we can. Thank you, Michelle. All right, Paul, if you would go into the conference room.
Turner, if you're gonna take a couple other matters, I might go next door and try to wrap up my one case that I have with Mr.
That's
Oh,
fine.
Judge Patterson.
Rhonda,
Okay.
Jordan's got cases ready to go.
Can I just sit there so I don't bother around this stuff?
That's fine.
We don't haul it all around. Thank you.
We are 1 hour and 4 minutes into this. So far, we've taken one cumbersome plea. It takes 3 times as long to do a plea through a translator interpreting it, but this is part of your civics lesson. You get to sit here and watch court proceedings, whether you like it or not, but it's how it used to work. Well, all right. Jordan, who would you like to do first?
I have 2 files that are set for last pre-trial, Your Honor. You can take those. I have Angel Gonzalez Lozada and Lewis Hall being set for last.
Angel Jesus Gonzalo Lozada. Good morning. This is file number 242266 and 242268. Angel or Angel Jesus Gonzalez Lozada. You're charged with operating while intoxicated, second offense, which allegedly occurred on December 21st. Leaving the scene of a property damage accident, improper lane use, and disobeying a stop sign. We're going to set this matter for a final pretrial.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Lozada, you don't require an interpreter for any of our proceedings. Did you go to Sturgis High School?
Oh, I went to Bronson.
Well, one of the things you need to do is stop drinking and driving. We're going to set a final pretrial, which will be on a Thursday. I don't see that you owe me any money. The address we have for you is on Weaver Road in Bronson. That's still correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll set a final pretrial on a Thursday afternoon. Stay in contact with your lawyer and don't get any more trouble until we get this resolved.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barrera Sanchez, I have our interpreter Vivian Montero with us this morning.
Señor Barrera Sánchez, tenemos la intérprete Vivian Montero con nosotros esta mañana.
Está bien, gracias.
You have met her before.
¿Usted la conoció antes?
I am going to put you in a space where you can talk privately with your lawyer with the assistance of the interpreter.
Usted está colocado en una sala privada para poder hablar con su abogado con la ayuda de la intérprete.
Okay, está bien.
Everybody hit join.
Your Honor, the interpreter doesn't have the option to join. I don't see the button.
As I mentioned several times recently, about 120 some percent of our cases last year were young Hispanic men. 20% of our drinking driving cases, and about 80% of those involved an accident. So I'm not sure what's going on, but it's not good. All right, who do you have here, Jordan?
This is Mr. Hall. This is also going to be set for last pre-trial, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir. Are you Lewis Randall Hall?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Hall, you're charged in this complaint. Let me actually pull it up. Got a lot of plates spinning in the air right now. This is that one. These are all for the allegation is that on the day of, yes.
Is that in here?
Who are you looking for?
Angel Gonzalez. He said he just came out of.
Yeah, he's Angel Gonzalez Lozada.
Mhm.
He's the last pretrial.
Oh, he's asking me for his next court date.
I
So
don't have
I'll
it.
let
I
him
don't
know
have
that
it yet.
it's not-
Yes. I told him it would be a
I'll take
Thursday.
this one.
All right. Anyway, let's see if I can focus on one case at a time. Mr. Hall, it's alleged that on December 26th, you assaulted Mariah Winchell, someone you had a dating relationship with, assault and battery upon Richard Stone. Both of those are 93 days and or $500, and malicious destruction of property, alleging that you destroyed a glass door. There are bond conditions in this matter. No drugs and no alcohol, no contact with Mariah Winchell or Richard Stone, no weapons.
Judge Fleischer finally came online today, better late than never, we suppose. Let's go ahead and flip over to him.
That she has alcohol in the car while she's driving.
She had open containers. There's no cold cuts or any other indication, Your Honor.
Ms. Leggett, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm now ordering you as a condition of your bond. You are not allowed to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock in it. If I find that you drive a vehicle that doesn't have an interlock, you become a danger to my community. I will revoke your bond and put you in jail. Do you understand? I don't know if you have a problem with alcohol or any illegal substance, but if you do, this is now the time for you to address it, because if you don't, and I see it becomes a problem, I will do it for you. And I promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. You understand? Now, you've got a great lawyer. Listen to him. He will take care of you. But if I find that you pick up a new case, do anything to, like I said, endanger. Now, you will also be randomly tested for any kind of illegal substances, so they may call on you to come test. If they do, you must come to downtown to test. Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance so you don't have to waste your time coming to court. But you must stay in touch with him and he'll tell you if and when you have to come back to court. For now, I'll have you go to Ramona, sign a reset. After that, we'll have you get with Fleischer if your bond conditions, and then you're free to go, man. Okay?
Thank you, Judge. We already did get a reset day, so.
Okay. So she'll need guardian.
Jury box.
Got it. Okay.
This is a pre-trial. And then I have Wendy Moran, Judge.
Okay.
Ms. Moran. This is David Smith's client, but we office together.
Not a
I'm
problem.
covering for him today.
Is this a new lawyer with you in your office?
He's up for counsel.
Okay.
He was the misdemeanor chief in Brazoria for 17 years. He lives in Houston. He made that trip for 17 years every single day.
What was the last name again?
Moran. Did you pronounce it correct?
Okay. Ms. Moran, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you, man.
Yes, Judge. On February 28th, 2025, the officer observed a vehicle traveling without any headlights or taillights on, and a traffic stop was initiated. The officer observed the defendant to have bloodshot eyes, and the defendant stated she had been drinking and was at a bar. The defendant stated she had one shot of Don Julio tequila at approximately 12 a.m. and when asked about a scale of intoxication from 1 to 10, stated 2. Standard field sobriety tests were administered, HGN 4 out of 6, walking turns 0 out of 8, one leg stand 2 out of 4. The defendant consented to breath, and the results were .078 and .084.
Ms. Moran, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming, I will revoke your bond, put you in custody. Do you understand?
Yes.
Any priority to be honest?
No priors, Your Honor, and driver's license is eligible.
Okay, so because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance, but you must stay in touch with them and they'll tell you if and when you have to come back to court. If for some reason your license does become suspended, you are not allowed to drive, and then they'll just keep you in the loop about that. I'll have you go to Ramona, sign a reset. You'll get with Fleischer for bond conditions, and then after that, you're free to go, man. All right,
Thank you.
please.
That's all I have,
Thanks,
Judge.
guys.
Thank you.
Good weekend.
You too.
See you, Tom. Come on up. How are you? Happy Friday.
A couple cases on your docket this
Okay,
morning. The
sure.
first one is for Mr. Nick Simon, Judge.
You want to bring him up?
Oh, no, sorry.
Is that the last name, Simon?
Simon.
Okay. And you filed an attorney record.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Simon.
Morning, how you doing?
Sir, you're charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 2nd, 2025, the officer observed a black Dodge Charger run the red light at a high rate of speed at Victory Drive in Harris County, Texas. A traffic stop was initiated, and the officer asked the defendant to roll down all windows due to the dark tint on the vehicle. Upon approaching the defendant, the officer observed there to be an unholstered black Glock 9mm handgun in plain view on the passenger seat, and there was an unfired cartridge inside the chamber of the firearm and also an extended magazine inserted into the mag well. The defendant is 19 years old.
Okay, Mr. Simon, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. As a condition of your bond, I'm ordering you not to be in possession of weapons. You understand?
Correct.
If I find that you have a weapon, I will revoke your bond, put you into custody. He was a driver, correct?
Yes, Judge. He was a driver.
Can you check his license, see if he has a valid license, please?
All right, Your Honor.
You're not allowed to drive unless you have a valid Texas driver license and liability insurance in your name. You must have car insurance. If you do not have both, then you're not allowed to drive. Do you understand? That is also a condition of your bond. Now, you've got a lawyer. He'll take care of you. I'll waive your appearance, but you stay in touch with them and they'll tell you when you have to come back to court.
Eligible, Your Honor.
Great. I'll have you sign a reset with Ramona. We'll have you take a seat while we get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it and then you're free to go.
Sure.
Ramona, did you want to say something?
Judge has states gone.
States, yeah. Yeah. Okay, please, that way.
Judge, I have one more on docket.
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Sir, have a seat.
So no weapons and then no driving without insurance in this way. Okay, do you mind bringing him up?
He's in custody, Judge. It's a fugitive case, Mr. DeLorean Bolden.
Amy?
We're pushing on the ball, and we did want to come down.
Oh, okay, no worries. I'll wait.
Oh, wait a second. Are you, that's Brian.
Brian, yeah, I'm here
Is
for
Brian not
Brian.
going to be here today?
He's here bouncing around, but I'm his associate.
I know, but I expected him because he said he was going to come, so.
Oh.
I know, I get it. Look, there's no problem, but excuse me, I thought he was going to come, but okay. Yeah, so as soon as Day gets here.
Okay, no worries.
Sure. Okay, come on up. Yeah.
Judge Olvera on page
Okay, do you mind bringing him up?
11.
Do you need a translator?
No, he's good. And it's the two.
Good morning, Mr. Olvera. Sir, you're charged with two cases. You're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're also charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon. On the gun case, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. On the DWI, you're facing up to 6 months in jail and a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On February 28th, 2025, the officer, while on patrol, observed a black Camry driving north on a south-only street at the 1700 block of Durham Drive in Harris County, Texas. A traffic stop was initiated and the officer made contact with the defendant, the driver of the vehicle. The officer observed an odor of an alcoholic beverage and bloodshot eyes. The defendant stated he was coming from a housewarming where he consumed one alcoholic beverage, a 12-ounce Modelo, about 2 hours prior to the traffic stop. The defendant stated he did not know he was driving the wrong way, and standard field sobriety tests were conducted. HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 1 out of 8, one leg stand 1 out of 4. The defendant was read the DIC and refused to supply a specimen. The defendant's motor vehicle was searched incident to arrest. The officer located a loaded Glock handgun found in the center console, and a blood search warrant was signed and executed.
All right, Mr. Oliveira, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with your case. Can you run him to see if he has any prior DWIs and
No prior,
license?
his license is eligible.
All right, I am ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or illegal drugs, your bond will be revoked. You will go into custody. You understand? Do not pick up any new cases. Don't be in possession of any weapons. If you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance, but you must stay in touch with them. For now, I'll have you go to Ramona, sign a reset. You'll get with Fleischer for your bond conditions. Then after that, you're free to go. Be careful. Don't be a danger to my community. Do you understand? Yes or no? Okay. All right. Thanks. Take care.
Judge, we're done. Mr. Stewart is here on page 4, verdict.
Okay.
The cover page.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Come on up, Mr. Stewart.
You want to call your client?
Yes. Come on up, Mr. Gerald. If everybody had a lawyer, it would go so fast, you know?
Okay. Client's name Gurley.
Gurley.
Running back. Oh.
You are Mr. Gurley?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On February 27th, 2025, at approximately 11 p.m., the officer observed a vehicle repeatedly fail to drive in a single lane, nearly striking 2 other vehicles as well as the inner curb. A traffic stop was initiated. The officers made contact with the defendant, the driver of the vehicle, and observed slurred speech. DWI task force officer arrived on scene and made contact with the defendant, who had just exited the vehicle, and observed a visible loss of balance, red glassy eyes, slurred speech, and an odor of an alcoholic beverage. The defendant stated he believed he was on Gulf Freeway and El Dorado Boulevard when he was in fact far away from East Sam Houston Parkway and Genoa Red Bluff Road. The defendant admitted to coming from a business meeting where he consumed 2 old fashions and standard field sobriety tests were conducted. HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 8 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. The DIC was read and the defendant refused to provide a specimen. A blood search warrant was signed and executed.
May I address the court on that, please, Your Honor? Sure. So in terms of, the accuracy, I guess, of the DIMS report and the accuracy of the summary here, I take great affront with what the police officer alleges here. We do have the video cameras right now. We have the dash camera video that shows that what the police officer is alleging is not nearly what actually happened out there at the scene. As he approached the vehicle, we can see when the dash camera kicks on, he's in excess of 1,000 feet away. So it's not like he's been following him for a long period of time and that there would have been a lot covered before the camera kicked on. But there's not even 2 vehicles anywhere near the vicinity that he could have even possibly nearly run into. There's only 1 vehicle and he's within his lane and he isn't nearly striking that vehicle. As far as what actually leads to the stop, we see in the video that
I can't get into the video. Now, this is a probable cause hearing and I have to give them the opportunity to respond. I can't imagine that they've already seen the video.
Sure. So I've addressed these issues with the state thus far, and I know that they've set it for a state eval to evaluate these cases. I just personally have an issue, and I've had some experiences where police officers lay out what's obviously valid probable cause for this purpose, but is not accurate.
Mr. Stewart, I'm happy to set it for like a formal probable cause hearing in like a week where we give them time to look at the video, research case law, due diligence. But here now, when you start getting into video, you start getting into evidence, I can't possibly No, man, I need to give them time.
Yes, sir.
Because it's
I
only
understand.
fair.
I understand.
Um,
So I understand that the four corners of the DIMS and what the state has alleged here certainly constitutes PC. I
Sure.
understand.
I mean, we have, weaving,
Right.
justifies the weaving by saying he's almost hits this and there. As a practical matter, theoretically, there's probable cause. As a practical matter, is it beyond a reasonable doubt?
Sure.
Maybe not. I
I
don't know.
understand.
But, we can always set up for a hearing and I'm always ready to do it. But I got to give them time.
Okay. So I'll allow the state to do their eval that we've discussed this morning. I spoke to Ms. Balance about that this morning. And maybe that resolves this and maybe we don't need to have any kind of hearings or.
And I'm happy to give you whatever date you want. If you want to do a week, 2 weeks, as long as you're okay with it and however long you want to.
Absolutely, Judge. We would just need to speak to the officer and do.
Sure.
Sure.
Right. Okay.
So if we want to do a couple of weeks, could we waive Mr. Gurley's appearance at that hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I have to do conditions. Now, did you say, look up his NCIC, any prior?
And his license eligible, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Gurley, for now, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward. I am ordering you not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, unprescribed controlled medication. You will be randomly tested. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or illegal drugs, then I'm going to put you in jail. Do you understand? That's right. You're not to do anything don't pick up any new cases. Don't be a danger to my community. I'm not asking for much. I just want my street safe. That's it. I'll have you go to Ramona, sign a reset. You'll get with Fleischer for your bond conditions, and then after that, you're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Whatever date you want, credit.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Have fun, guys. Marcos.
Morning, Judge.
Hey, good morning.
George Menchu, Menchu. Can I call him up?
Please. This sounds like a familiar name.
I don't think so. No, no
Okay.
problems.
I know that we've had it mentioned.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon name.
Buenos días, señor.
Yes.
Te pido que por favor conteste a voz alta. Yo soy su intérprete.
Buenos días. Menchu.
Good morning.
Mr. Menchu, you're charged with driving while intoxicated.
Estado de manejar ebrio.
You are facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine.
Una multa de $2,000.
You're going to do probable cause.
Causa.
You have the right to remain silent.
El
Anything
silencio
you say can or will be used against you.
será usado en su
You have the right to have an attorney present.
tener un abogado
If
presente.
you cannot afford one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. On March 1st,
El 1 de
2025,
marzo de 2025.
the officer was
el
dispatched to a
oficial
major
fue despachado
crash
por un accidente grande
on Ella Lee Lane
en Ella Lee
in
Lane,
Harris County,
en el
Texas.
condado Harris, Texas.
The witness
El
stated
testigo declaró
he heard a
que
loud
él oyó
crash
un choque
coming from outside his
venía
residence
de afuera de
and
su
observed the
residencia y
defendant's
observó el
vehicle
vehículo del
crashed
acusado
into a blue Subaru.
estrellado contra un
The witness
Subaru azul.
observed the
El
defendant
testigo
sitting in the
observó
driver's
al
seat
acusado sentado
of
en
a
el
red
asiento del
Toyota
conductor de
Corolla
un Toyota Corolla rojo
and removed the
y
keys
se movió las
and
llaves
smelled an odor of an
y olor-
alcoholic beverage
el olor de una bebida
and bloodshot
alcohólica y
eyes.
los ojos rojizos.
The officer observed an
El
odor of an
oficial
alcoholic
observó
beverage
un olor de
bloodshot
bebida
eyes,
alcohólica, los ojos
and
rojizos
slurred speech.
y el habla afectada.
The defendant
El
stated
acusado declaró
he
el
had
acusado
consumed
declaró
4
que consumió
margaritas
4 margaritas
and standard field sobriety tests were
y las
conducted.
pruebas de campo.
HGN 6 out of 6,
HDN 6
walk and turn
camino
8
de
out of 8,
voltear 8 de un 8,
one leg stand 4 out of
una pierna
4.
4 de un 4.
The defendant did not
El
consent to
acusado
breath
no dio
and a
permiso
blood
para su
warrant was
aliento,
signed and executed.
fue ejecutado una orden.
Mr. Menchu, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with your case. Any prior DWIs and a license?
No prior, Your Honor, and there's no license on file.
Mr. Menchu,
Señor Mancho,
I don't know what your immigration status is,
los
but
migratorios,
if you're not in this country with permission and you go to jail
la
and
cárcel,
immigration finds you because they sweep it on a daily basis, they will put a detainer on you and you will be stuck like Chuck in custody until this case is over with, and then you will be shipped off to immigration. Heed this warning. You will not get another. I see it happen every day where people get ICE hit detainers and they sit in custody for 6 to 9 months. I'm now putting conditions on your bond. If you violate these conditions, then I will put you in jail. The first condition is you are not to drive. If you do not have a Texas driver license and liability insurance, then you're not allowed to drive. I don't care what is going on in your life. I don't care if there's a burning building and you have to save 50 people, babies, whatever. Do not drive. The next condition is you're not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. I will randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol
consumió alcohol
and or
o
illegal drugs, likewise, your bond will be revoked. It will go into custody.
tu fianza, te vamos a
Pre-trial services is going to call you to go take a test. If you fail to show up for the test, then a warrant will issue for your arrest.
dar una orden de arresto.
Do you understand what's expected of you?
Yes.
You get no more warnings. If you don't believe me, ask Marcos. He'll tell you good and well.
Le dice,
For now, I will have you come up to us here, swear to us that you're not going to drive.
y te va a jurar que
I will get you to Ramona where you will sign a reset. After that, you will get policia for your bond conditions.
después de eso,
Then you're free to go.
es de fianza, entonces lo
Thanks,
puedes.
Marcos. Okay, take,
Judge, we have two more things.
let's do it. Well, we got Tony. Yep.
Herrera.
Hey, here, Mr. Bonds. Just, while I have Tony here real quick, you can just,
Judge, he has an arraignment that's in custody, his rights.
we can do that right after we do these two.
Herrera.
Come up.
Yo soy su intérprete. Dice a voz
What
alta.
is it? Ramona, who's this?
Herrera on page 4.
You are Rachel Herrera.
Sir,
Herrera, you were charged with theft.
es así de
You are facing up to 6
enfrenta hasta
jail
6 meses en la
and
cárcel
$1,000 fine.
de $2,000.
We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent.
Silencio.
Anything you say can or will
Lo que
be
usted
used
diga,
against you.
hay poderos usado en
Can
su
we also
contra.
do the other one as well? Might as well.
It's a BWI.
It's okay.
Sure, okay. Velasquez. And Judge, that one's on page 17.
Got it.
Buenos días, señor. Yo soy su intérprete. Por favor, conteste todo a voz alta.
Both of you are charged with criminal cases. We are going to do probable cause on each of your
Cada uno
cases.
de sus casos.
After that, we will determine whether we will do bond conditions. Each of you have the right
Cada
to
uno
remain
tiene el
silent.
derecho a tener silencio.
You have the right to have an attorney
El derecho a
present.
un abogado
If
presente.
you cannot afford one,
Solo un abogado, uno se le nombrará.
let's start with Ms. Herrera.
Yes, Judge.
Empezando con ella.
On March 1st,
El 1 de marzo
2025,
del
the officer
2025,
made
los
contact
hicieron contacto
with the suspect and
con las
complainant inside a
muchachos
JCPenney's
que
loss
estaban con
prevention office.
JCPenney.
The loss prevention team provided all information needed to place the suspect in custody.
Y en la
The
sospechosa tenía la persona bajo
complainant and loss
custodia.
prevention team
El equipo de
advised
prevención
they observed the
dijeron que
suspect
observaron a
on
la
CCTV footage
sospechosa
select
en
multiple
la
items
cinta,
on the store
poniendo
floor
múltiples
before
artículos
entering the dressing room
antes
with
de
a
entrar al
backpack
salón
she
de
brought in. The suspect
cambio,
then
la
exited the dressing room
mochila que
without any
tenía.
items.
Entonces
The
salió
dressing rooms
sin
were swept
artículos.
by loss prevention before
Miraron
and
el
after, occupied by the
salón
suspect,
de-
and the suspect exited all points of
ella salió
sale
de
without
todos
attempting to
todos
purchase.
los puntos
The
de
total
venta sin
amount was
tratar de pagar.
$203.
La cantidad total fueron $203.
Going, did they find something else? Because it looks like she picked up a second case as well.
Furthermore,
Dice,
when
además,
they took her to Humboldt Jail,
además, cuando
during
llevaron
a
a
search
la
at the
cárcel,
jail,
ambos
the staff found folded dollar bills in the defendant's jacket
encontraron
pocket,
dólares
which contained a
en el
white powdery
bolsillo
substance identified
de
as
la acusada que
cocaine,
tenía,
weighing
se
0.16
identificó como
grams.
cocaína, que pesaba punto.
Ms. Herrera, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case.
Para seguir haciendo
I'm ordering you as a
paso.
condition of your bond not to consume
Yes.
alcohol or illegal drugs. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or illegal drugs,
Yo
then I will revoke your bond, put you in jail.
revocar tu fianza, lo pongo en la cárcel.
You're also ordered not to go back to any JCPenney as
Regrese a
well.
ningún JCPenney's.
Okay, so let's start on Mr. Velasquez now.
Velasquez. Yeah,
Muy
yeah.
Velázquez.
Mr. Velasquez, you are charged with driving while intoxicated.
Ebrio.
You are facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine.
Yes, Judge. On March 1st, 2025, the officer responded to a loud music complaint from a vehicle at Main Street, South Houston, in Harris County, Texas. The officer made contact with the defendant, who displayed slurred speech a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, and very poor balance. Standard field sobriety tests were administered, HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 5 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. The defendant consented to breath with results of 0.142 and 0.139.
Is he listening to music while being Hispanic? Really?
So that was the basis of the stop, was the loud music, and that's when they approached the vehicle.
You never even said that he was driving.
And that's all there is, Your Honor.
Was he driving?
He was in the vehicle, but we don't have, and Your Honor, we understand, yes, there's nothing in the DIMS. We don't have that information, Judge, so we understand if you find a PC.
Mr. Velazquez, I'm going to find that there's no probable cause to go forward with your case. You know, you need to be very careful, especially if you're not in this country with permission. There are a lot of people here when they go to jail and they don't have permission to be in this country. Immigration sweeps it on a daily basis, every 4 to 6 hours, you know? And if they find you in custody and you're not here with permission, they'll put a detainer on you and you'll be stuck in there for who knows how long. I don't know what your status is, but be very careful how you act. You understand? All right, please take a seat for me, sir.
You know, we see this time and again, especially in Harris County, where we have these reports that are just poorly written. And I mean, not even identifying that whether or not he was driving is such a miss. But, you know, Judge Fleischer expects I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed. So there you go. We're going to go ahead and stick with Judge Fleischer for a while. We're monitoring other courts, but Judge Middleton continues to have technical difficulties. Judges Simpson and Shackelford have shut down for the moment, and nobody else is quite as compelling as Arraignment Friday at Judge Fleischer's court, so we're going to stick there.
Please check your bond conditions, and then we'll have you take a seat in the jury box, ma'am. She's being monitored. Okay. Mr. Pons was waiting, but
No, that's not.
Mr. Pons, he's been so
Waiting patiently to.
patiently.
I was gonna ask for a PR bond for Miss Rice. She's got a parole hold. After this, I'm gonna talk to her about the next step.
But if are they going to send her to parole then? If we give her a PR bond?
I'm sorry?
Will they send her to?
Yeah. But then if you give her a PR bond, we can have the next conversation about taking care of the case today.
I don't know. What do you?
I said her any bond. Sorry.
Deputy Miranda, would you mind bringing Miss Rice out? Yeah.
It's gonna, okay.
I don't know anything about anything, so let me see.
She has a parole hold for failure to report. She's got a false ID while having a parole hold. So if you give her a PR bond, she's still gonna be there. Parole's gonna come and talk to her.
Yeah.
I have all the discovery in the case, so my plan's to talk to her about that after I talk to her about her bond rights.
Guys, what say you? Talk about Miss Rice.
Yes, Judge. And I
Sure.
have spoke to defense. We have offered a time served in this case.
What's your position on a PR bond?
On the PR, I mean, we would like to get the case resolved before she's sent over,
You're okay with the PR bond?
but
She would still be in custody.
She's not, she's got a parole hold, so it's, but my only issue is, do they send them to?
If there is a parole hold, I don't think it matters what bond.
Right. They're not gonna pick her up or take her.
I doubt it. They're gonna wait.
Wait till this is done. Okay.
They want to see this resolved, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But, you know, I want to be kosher. Make sure I get the.
Get you going.
Bond set first.
Tell them not to worry about it. We're good. Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I'll get her. You got it.
Thank you. I'll be right back.
Judge, yes, on the PR bond?
Yeah. Mr. Beadle, did you want to talk about something?
Yeah, Judge, I'm in the rain. That's why I was putting her over PC and then it. I'm teaching this young man how to grow a beard. I teach everybody.
I need help too. I can't grow a mustache. It looks like, You ready?
I'm absolutely.
Please.
Yes.
We're talking.
Mr. Madrano, Judge. Abel Madrano.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Madrano. Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 1st, 2025, the officer observed a white Honda CRV involved in a minor accident. The defendant was traveling southbound on Dennis Street when he struck a 2016 gray Lexus. The defendant admitted to consuming alcohol recently, and standard field sobriety tests were administered. HGN 4 out of 6, walk and turn 6 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. The defendant refused breath.
Hey, he admitted to consuming alcohol recently. So what?
And Your Honor, there are no other indications of intoxication listed in the DIMS.
No slurred speech, no bloodshot eyes, no,
We don't have that.
not even an odor of alcohol.
No, Your Honor. None
Your
of that.
Honor, what we do have is that there was an accident and when another officer told him that he thought that the defendant was intoxicated. We don't know what that other officer observed.
Right.
Based on the DIMS facts.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to find no probable cause. Mr. Medrano, hey, be careful, man. I mean, look, every single day, someone dies from an alcohol-related collision in our county. Every single day. $50, $40, Uber, anywhere you want to go. Don't matter where you want to go. You know what I mean? All right. Good luck, please.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks.
I'll be with you. I'll tell you what.
For anybody keeping score, that's 2 DUIs now he's thrown out for badly written reports, basically.
Judge,
Yay. Oh, what? No. Hold on. Ms. Strong, I've got 2 more lawyers here.
He's here on.
Good morning, Judge. I have
Hi.
Jose Guerrero. He's there. He's the one that you sent for a drug test yesterday.
Okay.
Yes, he's here.
Mr. Guerrero?
Judge was negative.
Oh, negative. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll just give you a normal reset then. So, Mr. Guerrero,
Thank you.
just take a seat. You're good. We'll just give you a normal reset then. Okay?
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, for sure. You have anyone else?
I have Guadalupe Guerrero on docket. He was on docket yesterday, so I'm not sure why he popped up today.
He signed conditions and everything, Judge.
I don't,
It's because we raised, I think, the dollar on the original sold.
that's why. Whenever we revoke someone's bond and then, raise it even $1, whatever, they always auto-populate the next day. So that's
Okay.
why. But we can just give you the date, whatever you want, regardless. So
Okay.
you want to just chat with Ramona here? She's in the court, in the virtual court. Just whatever date you want. You're good.
I'll chat with her. Thank you, Judge.
Thanks. Colin.
Judge, what was the amount on the PR bond? Just 100?
Just whatever it is now. It doesn't matter.
Yes, Judge.
There's a bond. Is there a bond set? Or-
Judge,
can you hear me?
Then leave it there. Hey, Colin. So is there a problem with the PR bond?
Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you.
I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on.
Can you not hear me?
No. I'll jump out and come back in.
Log out. Frank.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
Yeah, Rich. I like your seat.
What's going on, man?
Morning, I came.
Son?
Yeah, my son.
Nice. That's right. Good job.
Thank you.
You've already been here before, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm so sorry. What's going on?
Judge, I came earlier this week on a John Malith Bojorquez, and
Is it on docket today?
no, it's not on docket, but you told me to bring her in. You said it was.
She get an immigration bond or something?
No. She just she had a pretrial bond. She
You have a violation or something?
No, she just didn't show up that day, so they issued a.
Okay, what's your cause number?
Cause number is 25309.
I remember now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, 0952. So this was she never appeared for her arraignment. We issued a warrant, so now she's here. Do you mind bringing her up?
Yes. That one.
Do you need a translator?
No, she speaks English. She's a US citizen.
It's 2530953.
2530952.
Ahem. Ahem.
Bruce, can I get that call?
Yeah, it's 2530952. You are Ms. Borroquez.
Yes.
Ma'am, you're charged with possession of a controlled substance. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. You had court on October 2nd of last year. We issued a warrant for your failure to appear. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Yes, Judge.
Please.
On September 25th, 2024, the officer conducted a traffic stop on East Sam Houston Parkway in Harris County, Texas, after observing the defendant driving 70 miles per hour in a 50 mile per hour zone. The officer requested to consent to search the vehicle, and the defendant consented. The officer found a ball of white capsule labeled tramadol on the front passenger seat. The defendant told the officer she did not have a prescription.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with your case. Can you run her license?
Yes, Judge.
The only issue I have with the case is what's the reason for the search? I mean, she's nothing.
She agreed to it. I mean, that's.
I understand.
Her license is eligible.
Okay, as long as you have a valid Texas driver license and liability insurance, you may continue to drive. I am ordering you not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs or unprescribed controlled medication. If I find that you're consuming any kind of illegal pills that are not prescribed, I will put you in jail. Do you understand?
I understand.
You missed court. I'm gonna give you a get out of jail free card today, but you're not gonna get another one. You miss court again, it's really not gonna go well for you. I will revoke your bond and put you in custody. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
No more PR bonds. You pick up a new case, violate conditions, don't stay in touch with them. That's it. I'm not asking for much.
Reinstatement?
Yeah, we'll reinstate the bond now. I'll leave it at 2501. Get ready because you will be tested. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so
For the record, it was for her mom.
well,
But yeah, we got to, yeah, so.
just get it and you guys do what you need to do. I want to make sure that she's just not using. You know, the problem is, and what a lot of people don't understand is they go out, they party, they take these pills. Nowadays, you have no idea what you're taking. Just not even like a little bit of fentanyl kills you, you know? You take oxy, take too much, you put your lungs to sleep, you die. So you got to be careful. I don't know whose, I'm just be careful. That's it. You got but one life. All right. We'll have you sign a reset with Ramona, get you Felicia for your bond condition, Felicia, and then you're free to go.
Thanks, Judge. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Ren.
Jeffrey, Noah, and Kathy, real quick, thank you to the three of you for just subbing to the channel. We appreciate it.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Super.
So you're saying that there's a problem with the occupational?
No, there's no problem at all, Judge. I got him and he has a 2-year suspension for an ALR. I got that. I got an occupational license for him in November. He pled to a DWI first in December and then met with his probation officer in January. She's decided that she is a license guru and that his occupational license needs to be signed by you. There is no suspension coming from you, Your Honor. He's on
Right, I didn't
probation.
suspend it.
No, and all he has to do is the DWI education course, and there will be no suspension from you. So she has wasted his time, your time, the CLO's time, and I'm sorry for being here to even bother you. He has no other issues at all. He just started. But he had to take time off work to come here and deal with this because she ordered him.
You didn't represent him on the initial case, did you?
No, Judge, I did not.
It was someone else.
It's George Rule.
I remember.
They just want to
And
make sure that occupational is appropriate.
there's absolutely no reason why you need to admonish him, Judge. He's on probation.
I'm
He
not
has
going to.
conditions.
I won't.
I
I
know.
won't.
I know. I know. I appreciate it.
Do you want, what do you want me to run?
That you
I'm annoyed.
for him to use it, or I can just have him sign it.
And Judge, I don't want to waste your time or the CLO's time. If I can email her personally, and I will CC you and the CLO to let her know what you say about
Just
this.
please include the state though, so it's not ex parte, okay? Include the state for whatever though.
I'll include the state, but it is an ex parte situation, so
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's
Okay, I
probation, so
approved it, Colin. So.
Okay. I appreciate it, Judge.
Okay, man.
Hey,
He's here. Do you want me to let him go?
yeah, if we could.
Shatori's gonna talk to him real quick.
Okay. Hey,
Let him-
I speak in dichos a lot too. So how do you say? ¿Cómo se dice Chuck, stuck like Chuck?
In what? In Spanish?
Español.
I don't know. That's why we got translate, you know?
Good deal. All right,
All right,
Judge.
Brad. Take care, man.
You too. Have a good weekend.
Judge, I know you told James Pond that you were gonna give a PR bond to Alicia Rice, but she.
Since he just brought up Stuck Like Chuck, we would be remiss if we didn't point out that the Courtroom Files does have a store, and we have what we call the Harris County Collection, where we have several different Fleischerisms reflected, including the Stuck Like Chuck. So if you have time, give it a look, courtroomfiles.com, and you can find our store.
On page one, sorry.
Courtney Bird, come up. Mr. Bird, you're charged with 2 cases. You're charged with reckless driving and unlawful carrying of a weapon. On the reckless driving, you're facing up to 30 days and or a $500 fine. And on the gun case, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 1st, 2025, at approximately 1:18 a.m., the officer observed a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed, and the officer had to drive in excess of 130 miles per hour.
130?
Yes, Judge. And the vehicle exited from the highway, and the officer paced the vehicle bumper to bumper between 100 and 105 miles per hour. The vehicle was changing lanes and driving around vehicles that were traveling at the posted speed limit of 45 miles per hour. The officer caught up to the vehicle to get a closer read and paced the vehicle again at 92 miles per hour. The vehicle drove through a stale red light without stopping and into the intersection at 51 miles per hour. A traffic stop was conducted, and the defendant stated he was driving that way because he was on his way to his baby mama's house and that she wanted to go to the doctor. The defendant stated that he may have outstanding traffic tickets. The officer asked the defendant if he had any guns in the vehicle, and the defendant stated he did not. The defendant was arrested for reckless driving, and an inventory search of the vehicle was conducted, and the officers located a loaded semi-automatic gun found between the driver's seat and the center console. The defendant stated the firearm belonged to his girlfriend, and the defendant made further references and threats towards the officer.
Mr. Bird, you understand that I'm going to do everything in my power to protect my public at all costs. And if that means putting you in jail and making your bond sky high, I will do it in a heartbeat. Do you understand?
Yes,
You
sir.
are not allowed to drive, and you will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising me you're not going to drive. If I find that you do, I can have a contempt hearing every single time you drive. It's an offense in and of itself. Do you understand? And finding that there's probable cause to go forward on the reckless driving in addition to the gun case. You're also ordered not to be in possession of any weapons as well. If I find that you have a weapon, you pick up a new case, violate conditions in any way, I will revoke your bond on both cases, put you in jail, no more PR bonds. Do you understand?
Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer? You work these, what do you do with yourself these days?
Yeah, I just cost my job due to this case.
Okay, I'll have you fill out an application. Deputy Rand is going to give you an application. I'll have you fill it out. I'll take a look at it. Keep my county safe. Do you understand?
So,
Come on.
Step over here, Mr. Berg. Can you raise your right hand for me, sir? You sworn affirm that you will not give me someone guilty without a valid 65 or something? And, no, no, sir. You don't, I mean, you don't have a valid 65 or something?
I have one.
From? Okay.
And Your Honor, on further these state's conditions, no weapons in addition to the no.
Yeah, so no driving, no weapons.
Yes, Judge.
If you can file it, please.
Yes, Judge.
Jamal Crump, come up. Mr. Crump, you are charged with unlawful restraint. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 1st, 2025, at approximately 2:27 p.m., the officer was dispatched to a disturbance call in Harris County, Texas. Upon arrival, the officer met with the complainant, who stated that her child's father caused the disturbance and got her kicked out of the motel. The complainant stated her and the defendant got into an altercation due to the defendant trying to take a child away that they have together, and the complainant not wanting to be together anymore. The complainant was attempting to leave the room when the defendant began sitting against the door, preventing her from leaving. The complainant stated she grabbed the defendant by his hair and started striking him with a closed fist because she was in fear for her safety due to a previous offense report from Harris County Sheriff's Office. The defendant called his brother, and the defendant's brother entered the room and started recording the incident, and the defendant was trying to leave with the child, and the complainant attempted to get him away from the defendant. The complainant was unsuccessful, and the child bumped his head on the door, and the complainant stated she knew the defendant by name, age, and sight. The officer was able to locate the defendant's driver's license and positively identified the defendant. Another call for service came from another location regarding an assault that occurred at the original location. Upon arrival, the officers met with the defendant, who stated he was assaulted by the complainant. The defendant stated they were having a conversation in the restroom of a hotel and that he was standing in the doorway when all of a sudden the complainant became belligerent and started cursing him, telling him to leave. The defendant stated he was punched in the face and suffered a busted lip, and the defendant stated his brother was called to mediate and be a witness. Then the complainant began cursing at the brother. The defendant stated the complainant grabbed the child by one arm and threw him on the bed like a rag doll.
Mr. Crump, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. Did she ended up getting charged as well?
I do not see a charge for the complainant, Your Honor.
So just don't have any contact with this person. That's all I'm asking you to do. You know, sometimes when you have cancer in life, what do? You cut it out, because if you don't, it kills you. Some people in life can become a cancer to you as well. So that's it. I don't want you to have contact with this person. Do you understand? If I find that you do, I'm going to revoke your bond. I will put you in jail. I'm also ordering you not to be in possession of weapons as well, Mr. Crump. You have the ability to hire a lawyer, or would you like to apply for a court-appointed lawyer? Okay, I'll have you fill out an application. I'll take a look at it. I'm gonna have you sign a receipt with Ramona. After that, I'll have you take a seat in the jury box. Do not leave until you sign our bond conditions. Do you understand? Okay, come on. So can you file no contact and no weapons?
Yes, Judge.
Tyler.
A couple quick things I forgot.
Okay.
On the two clients I approached on earlier, I didn't ask you to sign the blood discovery orders. I've had.
I'll put them in. I'll sign everything for you.
Okay, I don't need one to show from you.
Is it the standard one, or is it?
Standard.
Okay.
Okay.
So some of the stuff that they've seen already.
We filed it. It's in your queue.
This is just a standard blood discovery.
Standard blood
Okay.
discovery.
Then I'll
order.
sign it.
You will sign them today?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Guys, can you put it in the queue?
They're both in the queue.
For both clients?
Yes, sir.
Fill out the affidavit.
Sorry, Judge, one of those was mine, one was David Smith, so if you see my name.
I got it.
If you can sign the other one as well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Judge, next is Frazier on page 3.
Okay. Karen Frazier, come on up. Good morning, Mr. Frazier. Sir, you're charged with indecent exposure. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 1st, 2025, the officer was at a Texas Roadhouse parking lot in Harris County, Texas, conducting a traffic stop. While on the stop, 2 restaurant employees approached the officer to state the defendant had just exposed himself to them by having his car window down to be visible to them and stroke his penis up and down. The employees provided a picture of the vehicle, the license plate, and a picture of the defendant. While trying to get an accurate location of the vehicle, the defendant began approaching the employee while she was on foot in the parking lot. 2 employees pointed out the vehicle getting ready to leave the parking lot, and the officer conducted a traffic stop. The defendant stated he was trying to get to a hospital for a laceration to his left leg, and the officer went inside the restaurant to view surveillance of the parking lot. The officer observed the defendant waiting in the parking lot before the complainants walked out. The defendant was parked further back than the complainants. When the complainant got into their vehicle, the defendant drove forward and parked next to the complainants. The complainants turned and observed the defendant to have a passenger window down, sitting up in the driver's seat, and stroking his penis in an up and down motion. The complainants drove off and came back to the defendant's vehicle to get a picture of the defendant and his vehicle. The defendant pulled forward again in a parking next to the vehicle with a woman facing away from the defendant. The defendant parked his vehicle and eventually drove away. The defendant drove around the parking lot and approached the complainant, who was on foot searching for him. The complainant ran away in fear of being hit by the defendant's vehicle.
Okay. Mr. Frazier, we're going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm warning you as a condition of your bond not to expose yourself to anyone in this county in public. Do you understand? If I find that you do, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. No more PR bonds for you. I'm also ordering you not to go back to this place. Where was this?
A Texas Roadhouse, Your Honor.
Okay, you're not allowed to go back to this Texas Roadhouse. Do you understand? Likewise, if I find that you go back, then I will revoke your bond. So would you reach out to them to let them know that we have put these conditions in place so that if they should see him again?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Frazier, do you have the ability to hire a lawyer, or would you like to apply for a court-appointed lawyer? Okay. Deputy Miranda's going to give me an application. I need you to fill it out and I'll take a look at it. Don't be a danger to my community. Do you understand? Okay. Can you file those conditions? Oh,
yes, Judge.
No weapons as well.
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Frazier, you're not to be in possession of any weapons as well.
So we're going to continue to ride with Judge Fleischer. The other courts that we're monitoring, quite honestly, aren't as intriguing as Judge Fleischer's Arraignment Fridays. However, I do want to show you one thing real quick. This is live from Clayton County. I just wanted to show you, if you look at the bottom window there, the line of people they have this morning waiting to see the magistrate for a bond. That whole hallway is just filled with people. So they had quite the arrest spree over the last day or two there, but I just thought I'd show that to you because that caught my eye as I was flipping through the feeds that we monitor. That's a lot of people waiting to get their bonds. Anyways, let's go back to Judge Fleischer.
Wendy Moran.
Good morning, Mr. Jenkins. Sir, you're charged with resisting arrest. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 2nd, 2025, officers were dispatched to a traffic hazard. Upon arrival, the officers were monitoring the traffic and crowd control of patrons leaving the bars that were closed around 2 a.m. At approximately 2:20 a.m., the officers observed an altercation occurring in front of D Bar. Officers ran toward the crowd, telling them to stop. An officer approached, crowd dispersed, and the officer observed the defendant punch a male who fell to the ground and was semi-conscious. The defendant and the complainant do not know each other. The officer yelled at the defendant to stop and observed the defendant use his right foot to stomp on the complainant's head while he was laying on the ground semi-conscious. The officer grabbed the defendant and the defendant tried to stomp on the complainant's head again, who was now unconscious. The officers were successful in taking the defendant to the ground, and the officer told the defendant to place his hands behind his back, but the defendant refused and resisted by holding his hands under him in front of his chest. The officer was able to get his right arm out and behind him, but the defendant continued to resist and hold his left arm under his chest while the officers continued to give orders to put his hands behind his back. The defendant resisted and said he did nothing wrong, and the officers were eventually able to handcuff and detain the defendant.
I don't know why an assault hasn't been charged yet. I need to speak with the complainant and the officer to figure out what's going on with that. But yes, there does need to be an assault charge.
Mr. Jenkins, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to go back to this location. I'm going to put an ankle monitor on you so I know where you are at all times. You're not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, unprescribed controlled medication. I'm giving you a curfew. I don't want you out in the middle of the night. Do you understand? Sir. If I find that you violate these conditions, I will put you in jail. I will do everything in my power to protect my public at all costs. 9 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yes, Judge.
You're not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case, not to be in possession of weapons.
This is for you, Judge?
Yeah, not to go within 1,000 feet of of D-Bar.
Excuse me, Judge. I had hired a lawyer, Miss Timberly Davis, TJ Davis Law Firm. I don't know. Yes, sir.
I don't have anyone here. I don't have anyone that filed any documents. So what we can do is we can reset your case to give you time to hire this person.
I already paid money and everything. I don't know what
I don't know why they're not here. I mean, it's already nearly 11 o'clock. Usually lawyers will get here, she may be, or she or he may be busy somewhere else. I don't know. So what we can do is I can have you go to Ramona Santa Rita. I'll have you get with Fleischer for your bond conditions and we'll just have you take a seat to see if they show. Okay? You know what's expected of you. I don't care who is representing you. I don't care who it is. Small farm animal, you are a danger to my public. I only have one place for you. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm sorry, sir. Judge, I see you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I granted all these.
I don't need to.
No. I just want to make sure you.
Carl, are you taking over for Bradford?
Is that the morning?
The bar name, yeah.
Quintavious Bradford?
Yes, it's, they follow knowledge.
Yeah, but you're, okay, Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great.
Just FYI. Just,
I'm live streaming.
Huh?
I'm live streaming, so I'm live streaming, so be careful what you say.
Just want to let you know, the students we held, we're home at Sunday, didn't we?
Ah, wow, all that, you know.
It was the TV.
He had TB. They don't.
Oh, he had TB.
Yeah.
What? And we had him here?
Yeah, he was on a 7-day hold.
Oh, Lord.
So,
Okay, well, hopefully he didn't have TB out here.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't affect anybody. We found out about that later.
All right, Ramona, you ready?
Yes, good. The next one is.
Is it Jones? Oh, no, that's,
Miriam Morgan.
Demaria Morgan, come up.
I'm sorry, Judge, not
Oh, no.
at the bottom of page 10.
Nwobodo, come up, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On February 28th, 2025, the officer was dispatched to a crash and Houston Fire Department was transporting the complainant to the hospital. The officer made contact with the defendant, the driver of the vehicle, and asked for insurance. The officer observed a long neck beer bottle fall out of the defendant's vehicle, and the officer observed an odor of an alcoholic beverage, and the defendant stated he had 1 glass of champagne. Standard field sobriety tests were administered, HGN 4 out of 6, walk and turn 3 out of 8, 1 leg stand 1 out of 4. The defendant consented to a breath sample, and the results were 0.143 and 0.135.
Are you saying that he has alcohol in the car while he's driving?
Sure, they just found the bottle on the driver's side. There's no indication of being cold to the touch or anything like that.
Driver's side where?
Of the vehicle, it just said it fell out of the driver's side. When the full DIMS just says they observed a long neck beer bottle fall out of his vehicle on the driver's side. And that's the only thing that it mentions.
Can you run his license, run him, see if he has any prior DWIs, please, and then his license?
Your Honor, he has no priors and his license is eligible.
Mr. Nwobodo, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or illegal drugs, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. Do you understand? You are not allowed to drive unless you have a valid Texas driver license and liability insurance in your name. If you don't have car insurance, likewise, you're not allowed to drive. We are going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I will have you go to Ramona, sign a reset. After that, you'll get with Fleischer for your bond conditions, and after that, you'll be free to go. When you come back, please have a lawyer, sir.
There's some mock conditions for signing the community.
I second.
Okay, so well.
Ms. Ford, come up. Queen Ford. Thanks, Deputy Miranda.
Simon, Nick,
And I think he's done away, right? So I think he's ready to go after this.
oh.
Yeah.
Right here, sir.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you sign your state bond conditions that you. Yes, who's that?
I know. They're not gonna do it. Yeah.
I'm gonna point them out for you to have the shoes on.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Ford.
Morning.
Ma'am, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed for you, ma'am.
I apologize. What's the last name, Your Honor?
P-O-U-R.
Okay. On March 2nd, 2025, the officer was dispatched to an accident on the 4500 block of Southwest Freeway, and the defendant was passed out in the passenger seat of a tow truck. The officer noticed that her eyes were low, her speech was slurred, and her breath smelled like alcohol. She had also urinated on herself. The defendant stated she had one drink and was coming from a club, and the defendant showed lethargic behavior, and the defendant confirmed that she was the driver and that no one was with her. Standard field sobriety tests were administered, HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 6 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. The defendant consented to breath, and the results were 0.128 and 0.118.
Where was she driving? What was she doing? All I know is that she's sitting in a passenger seat of a tow truck. How did she get there? What happened? Was there an accident? Who is writing these reports nowadays? I mean,
yes, Judge. And the statement made statements stating that she confirmed that this was her vehicle and she drove it to the crime scene. The defendant confirmed that she was with only her, no one else was with her. The defendant confirmed that she was on her way home from a club where she consumed alcohol, and the defendant's vehicle was found stalled on the shoulder of a busy freeway. And the officer wrote that led the affiant to believe that that there was no one else that fled from the scene. And the officer wrote from the affiant's training experience that he believed that the defendant was the driver of the vehicle based on the statements made to him and finding the vehicle.
did anyone see her drive? Did the tow truck driver see her drive? How long did she drive? When did she drive?
We don't have that information.
Yeah,
So it says that there was, Deputy DuPont was dispatched to a one-car minor accident and the vehicle was leaning on its side and stuck in a muddy ditch. The defendant was passed out in the driver's seat with the key inside the ignition and the engine running. That deputy woke up the defendant.
So someone sees her in the ditch.
Wait, I think you might have a different.
That's
Oh,
a
sorry,
different
that was
case,
the
right?
wrong case, Judge.
In this
Sorry,
case,
sorry.
she was passed out in the passenger seat of the tow truck, and there's no other information in regard to her driving besides the statement she made. So there's no one that observed it, Your Honor. And we understand.
Let's do this. I'm gonna appoint you a lawyer today so we can have someone take a look at the case for you. Okay? Ramona, do you mind appointing someone for Ms. Moore, please?
Okay, Judge.
Just do me a favor. Just take a seat for me in the jury box, will you, please? We'll come back on that.
Ashton Jenkins.
Judge, Miss Davis is on.
Good morning, Ms. Davis.
Good morning, Your Honor. How are you?
Pretty good. Have you heard PC on your case yet?
No, sir, I have not. I've been on hold though but I haven't, they
So
just let me in.
Let's do this. We'll have, is it, well, Ramona, who is it?
Jenkins.
Come
Ashton
up.
Jenkins.
I'm right here, sir.
Come on up. Your lawyer's here now. We're gonna do probable cause again, so she can just hear what happened. Okay, do you mind?
Yes, Judge.
Please
I'll
stay.
read it again. On March 2nd, 2025, officers were dispatched to a traffic hazard. Upon arrival, the officers were monitoring the traffic and crowd control of the patrons leaving the bars that closed around 2 a.m. At approximately 2:20 a.m., the officers observed an altercation occurring in front of D Bar. Officers ran towards the crowd, telling them to stop. As officers approached, the crowd dispersed, and the officer observed the defendant punch a male who fell to the ground and was semi-conscious. The defendant and complainant do not know each other. The officer yelled at the defendant to stop and observed the defendant use his right foot to stomp on the complainant's head while he was laying on the ground semi-conscious. The officer grabbed the defendant and the defendant tried to stomp on the complainant's head again, who was now unconscious. The officers were successful in taking the defendant to the ground, and the officers told the defendant to place his hands behind his back, but the defendant refused and resisted by holding his hands under him in front of his chest. The officer was able to get his right arm out from behind him, but the defendant continued to resist and hold his left arm under his chest while the officers continued to give orders to put his hands behind his back. The defendant resisted and said he did nothing wrong. The officers were eventually able to handcuff and detain the defendant.
He is, at this point, only charged with the resisting. I don't know if they're gonna do any further charges in the future for the assault. I have ordered him as a condition of his bond not to go back to this location, not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. And I put a monitor on his ankle so I know that he's not gonna go back and that he's not out in the middle of the night. I have given him a curfew because I just, you scare me. And I don't want you out in the middle of the night.
Well, Judge, if I can, when you're done, Judge, you know, I don't want to interrupt you, but if we can consider, because he hasn't been charged with anything else, what I did hear is I hear that these officers arrested him that night, and I'm quite sure that whenever they called DA intake, they ran the facts down just as they wrote in the DIMS. So, and the reason I'm asking that we not, so I'm interested to see whether or not the charges were outright denied, or whether it was referred.
They were
And because we don't,
All charges were refused, and I've reached out to the intake ADA to see why they were refused.
I mean.
and so I guess the only thing that I was asking, Your Honor, is because they were refused, what we don't know is the back and the front and the forward and all the other in between of this. So I am asking if an ankle monitor not be done on just a resisting arrest and a curfew not be done on just a resisting arrest.
I'm gonna do it just for now. If I see that he can behave himself for a while, then come back and we can talk. But for now, I don't want him out in the middle of the night.
Can we just say he not go out in the middle of the night, Your Honor? But I mean,
No,
the only
because
reason I'm asking,
I don't, then I can't see that he's not doing it. I'm gonna pay for it, so it's really, I'll pay for everything. So money's never an issue. How do I know that he's actually sticking to his word? I won't. The only way I know is a monitor, and I'm gonna do everything in my power to, protect my community. If that means keeping him at home at night, that's what's gonna happen. So, like I said, Ms. Davis, you can always come back after some time. We can discuss. I can, for the life of me, understand how they would just deny. I don't get it. But
I guess when my only thing is, Judge, and I guess I'm urging it because if we have an ankle monitor on, and I understand your fears, the charges have been reduced. If we're gonna look at it in terms of being safe for the community, something could happen in the daytime. I just don't want to put, and I'm asking, a restriction on somebody who can't go to work, who can't go get Pampers, who can't go get milk,
I'm not, there's
emergencies
not,
for the middle of the
so
night.
I did 9 PM. If you want, I could do 10 PM. You know, I'm always
Can
willing to
we-
work around a schedule for work, but you know, I'm going to put it on you. That's it. I don't want you out in the middle of the night. I don't want you going to bars. I don't want you going to clubs. I don't want you using alcohol, illegal drugs. That's it.
I get you. I got you.
So we'll come back after some time. Any more issues? Talk. I'm always ears, you know?
I know you are, Judge.
And then,
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate you for listening.
for sure. And so you want 9, you want 10, whatever you want.
If we can
game.
do 10, Judge, Mr. Jenkins,
Okay.
I guess I did not foresee this on just a resisting arrest, Judge. What are the hours you work?
Currently, right now, I'm at Exxon Mobil in Baytown working 6 to 6. I work overnight. I just got off work coming here.
That's a problem.
I can
And
talk,
so that-
I'll
and
talk to my job. I got you.
That's
cool.
why I was, and so Judge, that was why I was concerned. I knew that he worked. His sister used to work for me as a paralegal. And so I knew that there was some nighttime going on here. I just, you know, I didn't know, I didn't anticipate this, so I would have had my issues together. Can we make it to where he is only to go to work at whatever
not
day?
for now. I don't know him. I don't know how he's going to be. Let some time pass and then we'll come back, you know, talk to your work. Yeah, I don't want to prevent anyone from working, but.
So is he able to at least go to work, Judge, and take the curfew off and say that he is to only go to work? Because if you have an ankle monitor
how do I know
on-
he works? How do I know he works in the middle of the night?
No,
Other than
what I'm saying
work.
is, judges, if he has the ankle monitor, Your Honor, then you can see him leaving from his house to his job.
No, Miss Davis, how do I know he actually works in the middle of the night? I have no proof of that.
Well,
You know,
okay,
other
I'll
than
tell you
him
what,
saying
Judge,
it.
can I come and bring you a check? Do you have anything on your phone right now, Mr.
I
Jenkins?
got check stubs right now.
I'm not. I will. You guys do that at different time. I mean, I have a lot of business that I still got. I got another courtroom
Okay.
full of people still to deal with. So
Can I
come back
approach you
when we
next
can-
week on it, Judge?
Absolutely.
Yes,
100%.
sir. I'll approach you next week on it.
For
Your
now, no out in the middle of the night.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Come on.
Thank you.
So, Timothy, give me a second. I'm gonna get your date.
Honor. Thank you, Judge.
Or you tell me. I guess tell me what day you want.
I was just gonna come off docket, Your Honor, next week. I'm gonna
Okay.
get him to send me a photocopy of his check stub so I can present to you, because I don't want him to lose a job on a misdemeanor resisting arrest. I just need him to work. He gotta pay me. So I
get it.
I don't want him to lose his job. You know, it's already hard enough for men, especially Black men, to get jobs, especially with this hanging over his head. So he may lose his job, and plus he may have a situation where he can't go out and perhaps get another job.
Hey, you want to get together Monday? I'm happy to do it. I'm
Yes,
here
I
Monday.
will do that,
So,
Judge. I'll
whatever
be
you
there
want.
on Monday
Okay.
in person to show you.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Bet.
So his appearance is waived.
It's sure.
And Judge, we will be filing assault charges on this case at the time because the complainant was unconscious. He couldn't state whether he felt pain or not.
Did you hear that? That's
Either
why
way,
charges
Judge,
are
I
not-
just, if they're gonna file, I just need, I'll do my research on it. They can contact me, let me know, but either way, I just want to talk at least about him working. That's the
Yeah.
very least. And then I can get a regular court date for him later with Ms. Bernal. But I at least want to come in to talk to you about him being able to work,
Okay.
and show you some proof, if I can. Okay.
Done.
So Ms. Bernal,
All right.
whatever date is good. I think I have another case in your court coming up. Can we email you what date that is so I can put both of my cases together?
But
And
do
then
it with
I'll come-
Ramona. Ramona's here today. It's not Victoria. So
yes,
email
sir.
Ramona.
I'll have the
Okay.
court call, my office call Ms. Ramona, and then I'll be in personally judge in person.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, wait, we need you to file an attorney record too.
We filed actually, but I'll get him to refile it. I'll get him to refile everything.
Hold on, Timberly, I'll see.
Thank you, Your Honor. We filed an appearance of counsel.
This is on Margo.
You would say somewhere? No, we haven't.
Bottom of
I don't
five.
see one pending here. Let me see if it's probably.
Pending, maybe?
No, I think need to file one.
Yeah, you needed to file it because they don't see it.
I'll have my office, I thought they did, but I'll follow up, Your Honor. No problem, I'll take care of it.
Not a problem. Okay,
I'll take
Timberly.
care of it. Okay,
Okay.
thank
Have
you. Can
Yes,
I be
ma'am.
excused, Your Honor, or do you need me to talk to Miss Ramona on the phone?
We're good.
Tell her to put it in the chat.
She's in the chat.
Will do.
Okay. All right, that way.
Just take a seat and I'll bring you your next.
So Judge, the next one is Samuel's on page 13. Bobby Samuel.
Bobby Samuels, come up.
Real quick, while we're waiting for that defendant to come up, if you haven't seen the poll in the chat, please take a look at it. It asks you your opinion on the quality of Harris County police reports, because the judge has really taken issue with several of them today, so curious about your thoughts.
Oh,
Jamal
yeah?
Crump. Jamal Crump.
I think his attorney has to talk about it.
Okay.
You are Mr. Samuels.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you're charged with failure to identify oneself to a peace officer while being a fugitive from justice. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On February 28, 2025, the officer was dispatched to a suspicious person call on Montgomery Road in Harris County, Texas. The officer arrived on scene and was informed by the caller that there was a male at the above location that had a warrant and that he was sitting on the steps in front of the apartment. When the officer arrived, he did not observe a male on the steps, so he knocked on an apartment and the defendant answered the door. The officer told him he received a call at the location and asked him to identify himself. The defendant stated his name was Levante Samuels with a date of birth of December 7th with no year given. The officer had officers on scene run the defendant NCIC, TCIC, and nothing came back. The officer asked the defendant again for his name, and he informed him the same name. An assisting officer on scene informed him that the defendant was the wanted person, so the officer detained the defendant. The officer placed the defendant in handcuffs and thoroughly searched him before placing him in the back of the patrol vehicle, and was shown the defendant's mugshot, and asked the defendant again if he would tell me his correct name, and he proceeded to tell the officer that I already got it. So I asked for a unit with a mobile AFIS, and the officer used the mobile AFIS and was waiting on the defendant, who then stated his name was Bobby Samuels. The officer then had dispatch confirm the warrant, and the defendant stated that he had told him the wrong name because he knew he had a warrant. The warrant was confirmed, and the officer took the defendant into custody.
So you had an open, felony warrant?
I'm trying to find what it was. It was an AFM warrant, an assault family member. I'm trying to see where it's.
It's a felony warrant.
It's a felony warrant, Your Honor.
Mr. Samuels, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm not putting any conditions on your bond. Just be careful. Don't pick up any new cases. I'm going to protect my community. If I find that you pick up a new case, I'm going to put you in jail. Do you understand? No more PR bonds. Do you have the ability to hire lawyers, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll have you fill out an application. I'll have Deputy Miranda give you one. I'll take a look. I'll have you sign a receipt with Ramona. We'll have you fill out the application. I'll take a look, see whether you qualify.
Okay, go ahead and finish. The next one is on page 13.
Got it. Hi, front shade. Come up.
Judge, we do see anyone
Just Fleischer, which I granted.
Good morning.
Your iFront, is it Shake?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you're charged with 3 cases You're charged with terroristic threat of a family or a household member. You were charged with assault of a family member. You were charged with interference with emergency request for assistance. All three of those, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Can I say something or no?
About the case, or do you have a lawyer?
Obviously, attorney, yes.
I'm sorry?
About attorney, and I need to discuss something, sir.
You are an attorney?
No. I need attorney. I need attorney.
I need hair. We'll talk later. Let's do probable cause first. You have the right to remain
Okay,
silent.
yeah.
Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, sir. On February 23rd, 2025, in Harris County, Texas, the officers were dispatched to a threat to life call. Upon arrival, the officer met with the complainant, who stated that the defendant is her husband. The complainant stated that the defendant and her got into an argument, and that the defendant stated, "I'm not afraid of the police. I will grab that knife and cut your throat." The complainant then stated that the defendant had on November 16th, 2024, assaulted her. The complainant stated that the defendant grabbed her by the top of her dress, causing scratch marks, and punched her in the chest, causing bruising. The complainant stated that she attempted to call 911, but the defendant ended the call.
Sorry, patience.
The terroristic threat was I'm going to grab a knife and cut your throat on it. Okay. Mr. Sheikh, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with your case. Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer?
So this also is attorney. Whatever money I have.
I'm not going to listen. You have the right to remain silent. Exercise that right. Anything that you say, they're going to try to use it against you to prove guilt. So what I can have you do is I can have you fill out an application. I will take a look at it to see whether you qualify. We don't give appointed lawyers like it's candy on Halloween. You have to qualify. And if you do, then I'll take a look. But I need you to fill out everything. As it stands now, I am ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case and not to be in possession of weapons. You are not to go within 200 feet of where this person lives or where this person works. Do you understand?
Jamal Crump?
Do you see whether a order for protection has been entered in this case? Guys,
Let me see.
And Judge, the DVD prosecutor is on the phone.
Oh.
There he is.
That's
Yes, Judge, I was able to make contact with her. I'm not sure what the discussions were beforehand, but we're gonna be asking for no contact with to keep the whatever the residency restriction is in place right now.
She does not want to have contact with her. Okay.
And I don't see a protective order in place.
On the AFM, there.
Is there one in the AFM?
Yeah.
But I'm going to also do one on the terroristic threat.
Yes, Judge.
I want you to understand something and take me seriously when I say this, that when I mean no contact, I absolutely mean no contact. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care that you need clothes. I don't care that there's a child involved. I don't care that you need to go get the car, whatever it may be. No means no. And if you violate these court orders, the state can and probably will file a violation of a protective order against you. That is the capital murder of misdemeanors. Do you understand? I am now entering in what's called a magistrate's order for emergency protection on the terroristic threat. This is a court order that identifies the complaining witness as a protected individual. You cannot commit family violence or an assault against this person. Commit an act in furtherance of an offense under section 42.072 of the Texas Penal Code, which is the stalking statute. You cannot threaten, harass, use another person to communicate a threat or harassing behavior. You cannot go within 200 feet of where she lives or where she works. Do you understand? This is what I'm saying, that if you violate this order, they can file additional charges against you. Now, Deputy Miranda will give you an application. I'll have you fill it out. I will take a look whether you qualify. Anything else you want? Oh,
No, Judge, we're covered with no contact.
so can you also file the no contact and no weapons so that it outlives the, okay. Do not leave until you sign our additional bond conditions.
Yes.
Okay, please. Can you file a MOA on the parasitic threat? Because I don't see one that's been filed.
There's not a motion filed on this one.
Okay, yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Judge, on Jamal Crump, you ordered him to have no contact with the complainant. They share a son together. Is there any way they could have a third party for visitation?
Well, of course. They can always use someone else, but I don't. Come up, Mr. Crump. I know that you're upset that they filed this case. But when I mean no contact, I absolutely mean it. They're going to call this person now to let them know of the bond conditions that have been filed. So if I get wind that you have contact with this person, then we're going to have issues. I get that you have a son and you should have, or a daughter, I don't know what it was, but you should have access because every father should have access to their child. And I want you to have access to your child, but you got to do it the right way. You know, use someone who like James is saying, a third party. Don't take it upon yourself to try to do stuff because it's going to go sideways real quick. Maybe if you have parental figures like your mom, your dad, someone that she probably likes, right? If she doesn't like your brother, that's probably not a good person to use to try to get contact with the child. So try to find someone, you know, maybe he can also help you too. You know, maybe he can help facilitate as well, where she drops off the child at a McDonald's somewhere, and then you come and you get the child for a certain amount of time, and you drop the child back off at a McDonald's. But don't do stuff your own way. Are we good? Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah.
Judge, next is there on page 16.
Okay. Coming up.
You're back.
Good morning, Mr. Ma'am, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Yes, Judge. Officers were dispatched to Fairmont Parkway in Harris County, Texas, and the defendant was arguing with her husband in the parking lot and got into the car and drove off, nearly hitting him and causing him to fall to the ground. Witnesses called the police, and officers found the defendant in her vehicle near the exit with the car in drive. The defendant ignored the officer's request to turn the car off, and officers noted slurred speech, red eyes, and unsteady balance, in addition to an odor of an alcoholic beverage. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted, HGN 4 out of 6, and the defendant refused the remainder of tests and was transported to JPC. The DIC was read and the defendant refused. A blood warrant was signed and executed. During an inventory of the vehicle, the officer located 2 stemless wine glasses. The glasses contained a small amount of a red liquid smelling of an alcoholic beverage and showed recent signs of consumption. The defendant's purse was located in the front passenger seat and was stained with the red liquid matching the hue of the liquid in the glasses, still wet and smelled of a fruity alcoholic beverage.
Instead, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. I am now ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I am now also taking away your privilege to drive. You are not allowed to drive. Do you understand? If I find that you do, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail, and I'm going to make it high. You will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising me you're not going to drive. It doesn't matter what you need to do. Do you understand? Not only that, I'm now placing a restriction on your license that you are not allowed to drive any vehicle that is not equipped with an ignition interlock. I send this order to DPS so that every single officer in this state knows you get pulled over, they'll look you up. They'll see that you need an interlock in your car. And if you're caught driving one that doesn't have one, they will take you to jail. Can you run our NCIC, please?
Yes, Judge.
So she only has the one prior from 2000 at a Port 5 DWI, no other prior DWI.
Okay. Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer or would you like to apply
I would
for?
like to apply for a court appointed.
Okay. Deputy Miranda's going to give you an application for an appointed lawyer. I'll have you fill it out and I'll take a look to see whether you qualify. I'm going to have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive. I will get you to Ramona where you will sign a reset. You will get with Fleischer if your bond conditions. I don't know if you have a problem with alcohol or drugs. If you do, now is the time for you to address it. Because if I see it becomes a problem, I will address it for you. And I promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. Do you understand? Okay, come on.
Can I know the last name?
Top of page 16.
I don't have a dog.
Oh, stair.
Thank you.
Do you need a cause number?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I'm gonna swear you to help drive now. So just raise your right hand. Do you swear from the new law, both of your care against this driver's license? Yeah. No.
Okay, Ramona.
We have one that's on page,
Oh, that's it?
we have Matt on page 7, but I see an attorney attached. I don't know if you want to go ahead. What is it?
I mean, it's already 11:30. They're not here. I don't, yeah, we need to like,
Mr. Mallard, come on up.
oh, this is the same thing. I see that you have a lawyer. I don't know where they are, but we need to get cooking. So, okay. So, Mr. Mallard, you're charged with 2 cases. You're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're also charged with resisting arrest. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 1st, 2025, at approximately 11:08 p.m., the officer was dispatched to a 911 call regarding a vehicle stopped on the road with the male in the driver's seat passed out on North 8th Street in Harris County, Texas. The officer observed the defendant's vehicle stopped on the road facing the wrong side, forcing multiple vehicles to drive around the defendant's vehicle. The officer observed the defendant's vehicle's engine on, with the defendant sitting in the driver's seat, appearing to be sleeping or passed out. The vehicle was in drive with the defendant's foot on the brake. The officer observed an open container of Bacardi rum, 750 milliliter bottle, approximately 10% full, sitting in the front right passenger seat, and the officer attempted several times to wake the defendant unsuccessfully, which led to the officer being forced to break the defendant's front right window to get into the motor vehicle due to the doors being locked. The officer placed the vehicle into park and the defendant was asked to step out, who immediately fell to the ground. The officer observed slurred speech, red bloodshot eyes, a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, and poor balance. The defendant refused any standard field sobriety test, and the defendant advised he had not consumed any alcoholic beverages, wished to speak to his lawyer, and was loudly repeating no consent to all questions. The defendant was read the DIC and refused breath. A blood search warrant was signed and executed. The defendant was transported to HCA Southeast ER to obtain blood, and the defendant refused to exit the officer's motor vehicle, even when the officer asked multiple times. The officer had to physically guide the defendant out of the vehicle, and the defendant stopped walking while walking to the ER with the officer and advised he wanted to go to the Veterans Hospital. The officer advised the defendant he had a search warrant, and the defendant refused to move. The officer grasped the defendant's upper arm and advised the defendant again of the search warrant, and the defendant refused to move. The officer advised the defendant that if he had to pull him inside, he was facing additional charges. The defendant again refused to move. The defendant advised he wanted to go to the VA hospital, and the defendant started pulling away in the direction away from the entrance to the hospital. The officer attempted to pull the defendant to the entrance, and the defendant continued to pull away. The defendant went dead weight and laid down on the ground outside and refused to move while screaming at the top of his lungs, "Someone help me." The officer was assisted by hospital security in placing the defendant in a wheelchair, allowing transport into the hospital, and the defendant's blood was only able to be drawn with assistance of 3 officers holding the defendant down.
My goodness. Can you run his NCIC? Does he also have a felony DWI with a child as well?
It was reduced to a DWI just above 0.15.
If you have a problem with alcohol, you better address it, Mr. Mallett, because if you don't, I'm going to do it for you. I don't want you out in the middle of the night, and I'm now giving you a curfew. You are not allowed out past 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., and I'm going to put a monitor on your ankle so I know that you're not out in the middle of the night. On your other ankle, I'm going to put a scram monitor so I know that you're not consuming alcohol. Likewise, I don't want you to drive. I am now taking away your privilege to drive as well. You are not allowed to drive. Do you understand?
Judge 96?
Yeah.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Heed this warning. If I find that you drive, I can have a contempt hearing. Every single time that you drive,
Okay, apologies. We had a glitch there. A little crash. But we're going to get back
All right,
online.
Mr. Mallory, you have got 2.
You're looking at Clayton County Magistrate at the moment. Let me get Judge Fleischer back here real quick. Have no idea what that was. Everything just crashed, but we're running again. Hang tight. This has been a weird day from a technology standpoint. There's been judges who have had issues. Judge Middleton today, his stream, he had to like reboot the system, so he was like a half an hour behind and all sorts of problems. We had a couple of the Michigan judges on the other side of the state today. Their feeds kept hiccuping on them. We were running smooth here until a minute ago when the computer just froze up, but we're back, so let's keep going.
There's a multi-term sign that
I want
includes contacts. Yeah, includes contact, just not
I think the new one, I put in the specific good cause request for contact.
he put it in the new one.
Okay.
So I guess you could write, if you want to print it out, I'll write no contact in the old thing too. So just, you print it out, let me write it in.
Okay.
Judge, for stare, for portable device as well.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Strong.
Yes, Judge. I have an
Hey.
off-docket matter. I just filed jail release instructions for Antonio Townsend. Brad
Okay.
Morse is dismissing the case. He just wants you to sign first.
Got it. Did you? Okay, I'm signing it right now for you, Ms. Strong.
Thank you, Judge. Have a good weekend.
Hey, and next time, so you don't have to sit here and wait, just type it up, put it in the chat, and I'll know, and then I'll get it done. That way you don't have to just sit here and wait.
I
Okay?
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Before I sit down.
Are you gonna do anything with Velasquez?
So, from what I understand, the Hickler wants us to do an eval on all DWI cases that are in the RPC before
Okay.
we dismiss them.
So if you want to let them know, do you speak Spanish? Okay, so if you want to let them know that they're free to go, no probable cause. They haven't dismissed the case because they're gonna eval it, but I guess have them keep checking on the website to see whether it gets dismissed, yeah, or not. But they're free to go.
Oh, right there. And what's right here? This is your monthly salary. I just want to make sure it's monthly. It needs to be monthly. And then give me a total down here for your expenses.
Hey, There's no bond conditions on Fleischer.
What? That's the indecent exposure.
No, there.
Okay.
Yeah, it states conditions. Guys,
I thought I did, 1 second, let me,
We're checking let's go through the.
no problem. Hey, guys, who's that in the green shirt?
You got him? Fleischer, yes, did y'all get him?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Sounds familiar. Let me see.
This is just one.
Yeah, then Mr. Shane.
Oh, that's right. That's it. Right now. Yes.
Hey, Ramona,
I'm sorry, Judge.
we have a Weber in the audience now.
Yes, and I've emailed Abel and he has not responded.
What's it about?
Yeah, so he bought it out. It was.
Oh, there we go. Real quick, while Judge Fleischer does some housekeeping here. If you were watching on Wednesday, we had a segment where we went to Judge Boyd's court, and they were doing a trial, and there was this gentleman who was testifying who was the victim, and he was severely beaten, and all of this was over a bicycle. But he had lacerations to the back of his head, and he was had one of his eyes had actually popped out of the socket, if you saw that. And they were able to save the eye as far as keeping it, but he had lost use of it. Just want to give you an update there. Yesterday afternoon, the defendant in that case was found guilty. And we are looking to do one of our trial videos where we condense things down to about an hour and give you the highlights. So look for that coming real soon. Also, for those of you who have joined us these first 3 days, thank you so much. As I've explained in the other streams, live streaming isn't new to us. We've done it on other channels, but anytime you start a new show, there are always hiccups and things that you have to sort and figure out what works and what doesn't and stuff like that. So we appreciate your patience this week. We just had a technical hiccup, which there's nothing we can do about that. Sometimes those things just happen. But we figured out, as far as the show goes, the kind of things that work and don't work. So we'll make some improvements over the weekend when we come back on Monday. Hopefully we'll have things even just a little bit better for you. So we're going to stick around for a few more minutes. We'll go back to Judge Fleischer for just a little bit longer.
You're the best. I don't know what to do about Abel. I guess I'll call him, Ramona.
Well, he should be logging.
Or is he logging in? Okay, great. Carl, you want to talk about something? You want to talk about something?
Do I want to talk about something?
Yeah, great. You look like you needed to approach. Okay.
But I do want to talk.
Let's.
I mean, you can check about it.
I think let me know when she does. I'll have to stand up whenever they call.
She was signed, I don't think she's signed.
Okay, so
And Judge just went off camera, so now is probably a good place to let it be. The other courtrooms that we're following today, there's not much going on, and now's probably a good time to call it a day. So thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us. Everybody have a great weekend. Take care, and God bless.